Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew. We're going to get started here in just a second with today's Geekdom online workshop. But for now, we'll give some people a couple minutes to join. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew Espinosa. I'm the events manager here at Geekdom. Thanks for joining us for today's online workshop. If you're not familiar with Geekdom or new to Geekdom, we're a collaborative co-working space in downtown San Antonio. And through the last couple of months, we've been hosting online workshops with some of our members, sharing some of their expertise on various topics related to starting a business, growing your business.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew Espinosa. I'm the events manager here at Geekdom. Thanks for joining.
Today we have Adam with White Cloud Drones, who will be talking a little bit about content marketing. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to him. If you have any questions through this process or any comments for Adam, feel free to shoot them in the Facebook or YouTube streams. But other than that, I'm here in the background for any questions. But I'm going to go ahead and let Adam take it away. Thanks again, Adam, for leading this.
Great. Thank you, Matt. And definitely appreciate you guys over at Geekdom to give us this opportunity to be able to talk a little bit about not just what we do, but also how we really believe that some of our skill sets and our services can really have an impact on anybody and everybody out there that really ultimately just has a business or has something that they want to be able to share. Let me go ahead and get my screen shared here so we can walk through this presentation. Real quick, though, I definitely want to go over a little bit about, the name White Cloud Drones, and hopefully this doesn't confuse too many people as we're kind of going through some growing pains right now. But White Cloud Drones, yes, it is a technology-driven drone company. However, a large part of our revenue, in fact, the majority of our revenue, is all generated through media production services. So ironically, when we started this business, this was something that, you know, we really kind of noodled a lot to think about and figure out how can we have an impact on an industry that is so diverse, but so vast as well. If we're diving into this media production world where just about anybody and everybody can really create a video, whether it be on their cell phone, their DSLR, or a high-level cinema grade type camera, how are we going to be able to do that? Well, we kind of found our niche through drones. And personally, I've been flying drones for the past 10 years, fully certified, fully licensed, registered. You know, the whole works to the point where it makes other production companies or our clients just feel comfortable and confident knowing that they are going to hire us to provide some sort of aerial drone-like service. They're fully covered, and we're fully covered in that sense too. The irony is, when we started in 2016, is that we allowed the market to figure out, or actually that we allowed the market to tell us really where we could really fit in the most. And this is where the media production services really came into play. So we started at Geekdom in 2016, and without the resources and obviously these kinds of workshops, we wouldn't be really where we are today. So definitely, again, a quick shout out to Geekdom and all of the people that have helped us along the way. Again, it's huge, but it's also been very useful for them to help tell us what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and where we need to navigate. But when we started in 2016, our whole focus was drones. It wasn't really media production. Media production was a very much of a subset to the drone technology. Selling drones, repairing drones, servicing them, obviously flying them for various forms of clients, for CPS Energy, for media production companies over the AT&T Center or BBC or Fox News, or just literally just being an ancillary peripheral unit to a smaller, medium-sized production company. We kind of found that throughout the time, people are starting to figure out that they rather have bundled services. We are now living in a bundled world where our utility bills are bundled, where our house mortgages are bundled, where our car payments can be sometimes bundled. We're a part of this bundled society, and we felt that we could at least cast the net a little wider with our skill sets and be able to bundle these packages to help save some costs to our clients. Well, we did that back in 2017, and this is really where media production really took off, and not just aerial media production, but all things media production. We were doing things on the ground. We were doing time lapse. We were doing testimonials. We were doing anything and everything that we could do with a camera, along with the drone, to really help tell the business's story and to accomplish a lot of their marketing and advertising needs. So this is really where we are today. In 2020, White Cloud Drones is a media production creative service. We do provide videography, we do provide photography, we do provide graphic design, and we certainly do anything and everything under the sun for drones as well. So with that said, kind of moving forward, a lot of the clients, a lot of the bigger clients that we've attracted, and I'd like to say the kind of the big fish that we need to fry every day are the customers and clients that are wishing to have everything bundled. When we can provide a photography service to a video inquiry, that just helps us provide even more value to that person and to that client. As I kind of get into the stats about the value of content in itself, please keep in mind that there are a lot of businesses out there, a lot of media production companies that are a master of some and a jack of all trades as well. We are literally just a jack of all trades and very close to the master of all. It's one of those things where we feel like each business that we work with helps cater to our skill sets. And then when we find out a little bit more about what they do and how they do it over a long period of time, we then become an extension to their actual marketing team and ultimately their business. And again, this saves a tremendous amount of value. It saves the initial investment. And it's one of those things that we've just really kind of prided ourselves on over the years. So talking a little bit about what's going to happen today on this presentation, talking about certain trends, why video is so very important to your business and why it's so important to your customers. The quality of video. We're going to discuss the difference between a cell phone video versus a high grade, very expensive, full-on media production company coming in to do your videos. We'll talk about the variations that those things have on the kind of impact on a very specific client that you're trying to attract. Dynamic storytelling. This is one of the most unique things right now that has a very popular buzzword, storytelling, being able to tell not just the business's story, but the story of the customer with their experience with your business. We'll get to more in that as well. And then ready, set, go. Basically just trying to help all of you that have not either invested in some sort of video advertising for your company, or those that have had, but have had some sort of unfortunate luck, or just not meeting the ROI that you're hoping to have. We'll definitely get in a little bit more of the granular ideas of cost situations with that. And then recycling content. That's a pretty bold word, especially in the creative services world. So all of you that are videographers or photographers out there, this is a very sensitive and touchy subject because it does come down to copyright issues. But this is also one of those things that, again, we have found based off of market research, this is one of the most added values that people have told us that they would appreciate, knowing that they can actually own their actual assets. I'm assuming that most of you have explored stock photography and stock video online, like Shutterstock and freepik.com. All of these just wells of stock, whatever you're trying to attract or get, is out there for sometimes a nominal price. Recycling content is more or less having an actual production company do it for you. So they're actually creating very specific content for your company and for your clients. But again, we'll get to that here in a second. But first of all, we got to know a little bit about why video, because that's really why I want to talk mostly about today. Yes, photography is important, photos are important, graphic design is important. Those are all good lead generators, but video takes the cake. It's 2020, guys. Everyone has, not everyone, but the majority of people has some sort of mobile device that has access to the internet. 2/3 of this nation and ultimately the world is using some form of mobile device to access digital content. And now that the speeds are increasingly getting better, more affordable, more people are actually online digesting and consuming video content. This quote, not really a quote, but this statement really kind of says everything about today's presentation. Videos provide valuable content, not just about the business, but about being the solution to a customer's problem. This is one thing that took me probably the first few years of in this business to understand, because I knew what I wanted as a business owner. And when I was producing videos and producing content for White Cloud Drones, I was putting everything into the perspective of how cool it is to be in this business and to do the things that I'm doing. However, I wasn't putting my customers' experience in that specific seat. And it wasn't until working with Alberto over at Broston Homes and Andrew and Angela and the whole crew over at Go Smart Solar, those guys have really kind of helped tell us exactly from a customer standpoint, exactly what video they need, how they need it, and how it can be useful to have that impact on not just their current clients, to retain their clients and customers, but to attract new ones as well. 54% of consumers want to see more content from a brand or business they support. We all know how referrals have an impact. We all understand that just word of mouth has a huge impact. Wearing a t-shirt with your company name has an impact. These are all marketing assets. They're all collateral. That 54%, ironically, I think that number is quite low. I think that number by now is a little higher, knowing that Google reviews, Facebook reviews, social media in general, the influencing type world that we live in right now, this is where that number can only grow. And again, the video is a major staple of that. 85% of all internet users in the United States watched online video content monthly on any one of their devices. And I'm assuming that also that number has increased drastically over the last 2 or 3 months, since a lot of us have been unfortunately stuck at home. And then of course, 87% of marketing professionals use video as a marketing tool. That number continues to grow. You look at the trends from 2018, 2017, even 2016, that number has crept up from 55 to 60 to 65 to 70. And now it's clearly in the 80s, and soon enough, it's going to be in the 90s. 88% of video marketers are satisfied with the ROI of their video marketing efforts on social media. And again, this is the big data that I want all of you to really take home and to really digest. For those of you that have experience or explored using video as an added asset or not, these are things that you have to remember, that these numbers are only increasing from here on out. Hopefully most of you know that Google does own YouTube. So this is just the digital form of today's Yellow Pages, where if you want to have more SEO power, then you need to be more on those SEO sites. And Google is by far the #1 SEO engine that you want to be able to be optimized on. So in this case, if you have videos, whether they have 5 views or 5 million views, as long as they're on YouTube, you are creating some sort of static and eventually dynamic tool for people to be able to find you. Not here to talk too much about the marketing and the communication side of it. We're here to really talk about the content, but content does have a driving force on what is then dictated in the so-called marketing world of how you have your advertising campaigns laid out. What part of the week, what part of the day, what part of the season do you need to start strategizing on all of these things? Well, YouTube is it. And of course, Facebook is a close second with 76%. And that was early this year that those numbers were projected. And again, going back to the other data points, these numbers are only growing. They are not going down. Video marketers get 66% more qualified leads per year. You get to literally choose who you want to see your content. Every industry is different. Every clientele is different. And every demographic is different. But with YouTube and Facebook and some other platforms, you can actually dig in as fairly deep to exactly what kind of customer you want to have see your content. All of us are victims of having that specific bubble ad that pops up and literally chases you everywhere. If you looked at an item on Amazon 3 months ago, and if at any point you're on a website that has nothing to do with anything that product is, chances are that product will probably find you, especially if it was, especially if that marketing bubble was actually purchased by a third-party vendor that's associated with Amazon. And then of course, projected in 2022, 82% of the global internet traffic will come from video streaming and downloads. And that's simply because technology is advancing. Video content, whether it be 1080p type quality or 4K or even 8K, it's going to be available. Videos are a consumer's favorite type of content. And this goes solely back to the referral, the influencing world. For those of you that have been a part of Snapchat or TikTok or Instagram, you see how much these influencers are capitalizing on this mass content marketing campaigns, whether it be talking about makeup or food or clothing or cameras or products, anything and everything. It's all based off of referrals. And by having someone that is reputable or a content expert speak to that nature, you can have a profound amount of effort, or a profound amount of impact on having clients come your way. Nearly 7 hours, guys, nearly 7 hours of watching videos online. That's a lot per week. When we're trying to limit screen time for our youth and even some of those people who just need to get off the screen, that's still a lot of time. But out of those 7 hours, just a 10-second, 15 or 20-second splash video that just introduces what you do and why you do it, again, that will leave something and that will resonate with someone who really values you and your product and your service. And then of course, 80%, 8 out of 10 people who have purchased the software or app after watching a brand's video. Video is it, guys. Video is the way to go for the future. So quality of content, and I should have really changed that to quality of video, because that's really what we're talking about right now. Photos, like I said, we can talk all day about photos and graphics and even just small little animation explainer videos. But for the most part, dynamic video is really what I want to hit home on today, and just really how impactful it can be. The first 4 questions: who do you want to see your content? How do you want your audience to see your content? Where do you want your audience to see your content? And when do you want your audience to see your content? Those 4 questions need to be answered first before you ask about what content should even be created. All of us by now have experienced some really big companies putting a lot of money in their advertising and get very minimal ROI. We've seen a lot of small companies that are very creative in being able to tell their story or be able to tell their customer story in a way where they don't have to spend a lot of money. So this is where this conundrum really comes in. How much money do I need to spend on an actual production, whether it be in-house, outsourced, or contracted, to really have the impact that I need? We'll get to that in a second, but first, take a second and really think about your business, or think about your family's business, or think about some sort of how will video impact what you care about the most? Who do you want to see your content? Break up your demographic, really funnel it. How do you want your audience to see your content? Do you want them to see it on the tablet? Do you want them to see it on your website on a desktop or on the mobile device? How do you want people to view and digest that content? Where do you want your audience to see your content? This is kind of it goes in with how basically as well, but where is, like this graphic of, or this photo of this gentleman with the headphones on, watching video on his smartphone. He could be at the airport standing in line. He could be at the grocery. He could be in traffic, which hopefully he's not watching video in traffic, but I think a lot of people still do, sadly enough. But there are some people who only use their mobile device to digest video. And so when you're creating content, you're going to have to make sure that that content is in line with the people, the majority of the people who are actually going to be digesting it. The size of the font, the colors, the color theory that goes along with it, the audio, the lighting, anything and everything that really adds to the value of that. When do you want your audience to see your content? Every social media platform, everything digital right now, even streaming platforms, there are times of the day, times of the week, and even times of the month that are best on when to actually promote your actual product or service. And this goes along with whoever is your chief marketing officer or whoever is the lead person that understands a lot of these data analytics. This is where those questions should be answered. And the cool thing is that a lot of things that White Cloud Drones does is that we work as an extension to a lot of marketing teams. So we have learned over the past 4 years, a lot actually, from a lot of different kinds of industries on when and where and how to broadcast a very specific kind of video. And then of course, getting back to what kind of content should be created. What kind of content should be created? And this goes into the dynamic storytelling piece of really what I want to talk about today. Dynamic versus static. Dynamic storytelling is when you have a lot of different components that convey and have a compelling story that obviously resonates with future customers and clients. Think of 2 agencies, such as like maybe Nike, or think of a specific gym they're affiliated with, or even something that you just find a lot of pride in or very loyal to in that business. Does their advertising have an impact on you? I'll admit that I'm an Apple loyalist. I own everything Apple, and I very much support anything and everything that they do. Granted, there's like everything technology, there's always a pro and con, but that specific company has really sold me. And so whenever I do see an advertisement or whenever I do see some sort of creative artistry that they do, it has more or less an emotional impact on me. And yes, it does get me to buy more of their products. Some of you may feel that way with other kinds of companies and other kinds of products. That's exactly what we want to have conveyed with your business. We want to be able to connect on an emotional level to have a behavior reaction, a call to action. Nonprofits really struggle with this only because they're very limited on their budget and their money. Obviously, startup companies have a very hard time doing this too, as they're still figuring out themselves. They're finding themselves. They're finding out what the market wants. Being able to craft a specific video that really identifies a lot of these key assets can have a huge impact in the very beginning stages of those businesses. or even the middle and even the end. So the dynamic storytelling part really goes into what kind of creative storytelling can you use to really have an impact on your potential customers. Hopefully you guys can still see this. So what you see right here on the front page of our website is what we call a splash video. There's no audio associated with it. It is simply just a 15-second looping video. And it shows 7 to 8 different clips from around literally the world that we've traveled to be able to produce advertising content, marketing content, or lifestyle content for our clients. This is what we want to amplify to people when they first come to our store. If you rewind 20, 25 years ago, people were starting to finally understand that if you don't have a website URL attached to your business, you're missing a boat. Well, fast forward to now, if you don't have a video that at least explains the very basic form of your product or service, you're missing the boat. If it's not on your website, it should be certainly accessible from your website or from all of your social media platforms. But one of the things that you're seeing right here is simply just basic graphics with text and B-roll. B-roll versus, and for those of you that don't come from the media world, you have your A-roll, you have your B-roll, and sometimes you have your C-roll. A-roll is your primary meat and potatoes of what is conveying the story. The B-roll is supporting the A-roll. And of course, the C-roll, in the event that we have it, can support that as well. But for the B-roll, this is just a B-roll roll. It's a reel. And these little sizzle reels or these little splash videos really kind of help hopefully resonate with the very specific clients that we want. We work a lot with real estate. We work a lot with construction. We work with a lot of Airbnb, anybody and everybody that we think that would need some sort of dynamic shot from the air, we provide that. 80% of all of our clients hire us because we have the drone component. The other 20% actually hire us because it's from a referral that they just don't need a drone, but they would definitely need media services. I throw the GoPro snapshot down there on this discovery page only because it's amazing on how and where GoPros have come. They get a lot of bad rep in the video industry because of, well, it looks more like a toy than an actual, $20,000 camera that you see on the left. But the GoPros can provide very dynamic B-roll, time lapses, stabilization. They're action cameras. You can, for a lot of you that do at-home gyms or things around with your kids, very raw and very authentic type of content can be produced by something that just simply costs $200-300. Going along with this dynamic storytelling, startups, which again, we're speaking to the Geekdom community right now, it is so valuable that you have something that expresses who you are and how you have an impact on not just the community, but the client. Once you get your first client, once you get your first 5 clients, getting them to go on camera and say literally 2 or 3 sentences about the experience they had that you want them to express on camera, that's paramount. That's huge. And I think working with Broston, working with GoSmart, and now working with Allison's and working directly with Geekdom, this is what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to give clients and customers and members an experience from their point of view on how this company has had an impact on them and their family and ultimately their community. Freelancers, if you own Etsy company, if you do stitching and knitting or art design or art in general or anything that is a freelance genre, having some form of process video can really help explain how much time it takes to actually do what you do. And that way, when you're actually quoting specific people, sometimes it'll actually turn on the light bulb and realize, wow, this person, even though it seemed like it only took 10 minutes to do, this person put in a whole day or two to complete this one very simple project. Sometimes it helps validate the quality of production or the quality of product that you're offering. Nonprofits, I have to give a quick shout out to Carlos over at Key Ideas. Dude, that guy is a master of storytelling. If any of you want to know more literally about how Key Ideas, which is a local media production company here in San Antonio that I've learned a tremendous amount. We still partner up on certain things too, on productions, but he is by far, and his crew, Chris and Stephanie, all three of them are very, very good at what they do in the nonprofit sector. They're very good at everything in all sectors, but they have such a unique and great way of being able to really dig deep and get the right messages composed in an art form that, again, I aspire to become that kind of level of storytelling. And I'm just grateful that Carlos and his team is here in San Antonio that I can easily tap whenever I do need some sound advice. But those are the kinds of things that I employ all of you to do, is go on YouTube, go on Facebook, go on social media, and really literally tap in a hashtag media production, hashtag storytelling, hashtag whatever your business or industry is, and see what your competitors are doing. And you can really then see the difference of the quality of work that these people are really producing to have what hopefully in your eyes and even potentially your customers' eyes has an impact on. Nonprofits, unfortunately, a lot of them just don't have a designated media or marketing budget in their actual annual budget. A lot of that is sponsored money, doing a project for a nonprofit, for a gala or for an event, sometimes can be underwritten by a sponsor or a philanthropist that's willing to have maybe a highlight video about them. Nonprofits, again, can be a very, very, nonprofits can have a very impactful message if they simply just have one, two, or very, a few string of videos to really tell their story and tell how that much they're having an impact. One thing that we're doing too, and I'm actually a board member over at the Ella Austin Community Center, we're actually trying to create a series of videos to help not just broadcast and tell the community about what we do and all the new things that are happening, but also these videos will help complement grant writing. When grants go in, sometimes they accompany these specific links to these videos to help whoever is reviewing them, help them understand exactly how much of an impact this specific nonprofit is having, especially when a lot of the data points have to be expressed. New products and services, that's everything and anything. For anything that's new, you have to get it out there. And the most affordable way of doing it, as we all know, is doing it online. The Super Bowl ad versus the Instagram story. This is kind of funny because within my team and a lot of the things that I find inspiring online that helps drive my creative inspiration, you see a lot of these guys that have been in the industry for 10, 15 years, and they have these challenges where how good of a 30-second ad can you create with your cell phone? And it's pretty amazing about how some of these people get so creative in shooting something with, a $1,500 DSLR that looks legitimately like a Super Bowl ad, or at least could pass off as something close to one. With the kind of software that is out there these days, with the kind of skill sets that a lot of these, even youth that are coming through as high school and college kids that have a wealth of experience of just playing around with video production online and on their computers, they can almost justify, they can almost produce a really good sound quality product, all because a lot of the applications that come available to us now. Now, granted, I'm not here to say that you should go out and start shooting all your video on a cell phone. That is not what I'm saying. But if that is something that you can do to offset some of the budget that you may or may not have, that is something. Content is something. And if anything, it shows authenticity, it shows genuineness, it shows raw. We are now living in an age where Facebook has been around for 12, 13 years. Social media is a part of most people's daily lives, no matter what platform that you're a part of. So seeing selfies with bad lighting and seeing these really shaky videos because dad's running around watching his kids play on the tricycle, something like that. We're so now accustomed to that kind of quality that when we see products and services being introduced, sometimes these things, the quality of the production may or may not have an effect on the ultimate reaction of the client that you're trying to attract. But we'll get to that in a second too, about how sometimes that can actually hurt you if you don't provide the right kind of production quality in the kind of customer or in the kind of product or service that you're trying to convey. And viral ability is kind of a buzzword that's been floating around for the past few years. Obviously, since, again, social media is present. If you hit kind of the home run, or if you hit the lottery of producing a funny, sexy video that can go across multiple platforms where almost the news will pick it up. Hopefully it's not something that that challenges any kind of social issues, but it's definitely something that promotes what you do in a positive way. Again, this is great limelight to have. So getting started and moving forward, I want to kind of take you guys just real quickly through what we do from a media production standpoint on how we discover all of the things that help us figure out what is the best kind of content. Going back to that first slide, or that one of the first slides where it says, what kind of content should I produce? Well, this is where you get started. Once you've answered those first four, the how, when, where, what, then we can actually get into the nitty gritty of what we need to create. Mission vision video. The mission vision video usually is composed of 2 or 3 different testimonials, a staff member, a customer, and some sort of ancillary supporter, whether it be another staff member, whether it be another customer, or whether it be just somebody that's a next door neighbor that can just say something very articulate on camera, all the good things about your product. A mission vision video is something that almost anybody and everybody should really have, not just when they're starting their business, but also when they're good 3 or 4 years in, and almost to the point where every 2 years you refresh that mission vision video. The splash video content, like I showed you over here on our website, this is a splash video. This just helps give a very short sample, small sample of our portfolio without forcing anybody to have to go dig for it. They don't have to go on YouTube. They don't have to go on social media. They just go to our website because they found us through Google. They click on it. This is what they see. Okay, so this is what White Cloud Drones does. They do this. That's exactly what we would employ you guys to do as well. Testimonials, customer reviews. Once you've brewed up enough customers, and enough customers that actually can tell your story through their eyes, that's gold. That's huge. That is paramount. That is the referral lightning bolt that you want to have striking down at all times. The product tutorials and reviews and demos, this is where you're going to get into a phase where you're literally beefing up in just making your YouTube channel as meatiest as it possibly can be. The things that help validate you as a content expert in the field that you're in, this is where these product tutorials and reviews and demos can come from. These, number 4, product tutorials and reviews, they don't need to be high quality. These are the ones that you can simply do with your cell phone, with a GoPro, something that is just very authentic, very genuine, but also something that just gets the point across about what you're doing. However, I will encourage that the first 3, that's really where you want to put a little extra cash on making sure that the production of the video is of higher quality value. We are still living in an age, in the generations that are still spending a lot of money, we still value quality. We still think that the value of quality equals the value of the price. So if I'm spending $5,000 on a video production, then we expect a $5,000 high quality production. Now granted, this is a creative service. And for those of you that have experienced and explored creative services, something that costs $50 for one person could cost $500 for someone else. It really depends on who you're working with, how much time it really takes to create that content, and of course, how much peripheral action has to take place. Additional shooting, additional assets that have to be created, more people that they have to talk to. There's a lot of different puzzle pieces that go into that. So this is again going back to what budget do you have for the kind of video that you want to produce? The more assets that you can already produce in-house that we can then use as complementary footage to support, such as a splash video or a testimonial, that's key. But for the mission and vision video, that's really where you would almost want to employ or employ an actual production company to come in and literally capture it from a fly on the wall perspective, getting people on camera, talk about exactly what you want them to talk about, to explain what you do, to really so-called advertise what you want to have advertised. Product advertisement, services being highlighted, and of course, Kickstarter seeking investment. event promotion, corporate social responsibility, but all of those last 5 or 6 there all really can be lumped into one big thing to help boost the content of your actual platforms that you have, your channels, your Instagrams, your Facebooks. Live video is still being tested, and a lot of the data that's coming in is being skewed right now because of where we're at right now in our society with COVID-19 causing a lot of what you see going into a live situation. So 6 months from now, or even probably a year from now, we won't actually have some hardcore data to really say live video is the way to go. Pre-staged and well thought out and storyboarded video is probably right now the best suit to get your best bang for your buck. Feed the beast. And feed the beast is pretty much the title for the 4 below it. The constant, consistent content, more bang for your buck, ownership rights, and the recycle, reuse, repurpose. Feed the beast. You need to be feeding the beast. The beast is your computer. Feed it with video content, because the more that you put out on a constant, consistent basis, the more likely people are going to be hungry to consume it and digest it and process it and hopefully have a reaction to it by either getting on your website, seeing what you do, what you sell, how you do it, and then hopefully giving you guys a phone call or an email saying, I'd love to hire you guys or like to buy a product from you guys. It's more bang for your buck. One of the key aspects, and I'll get into a little bit more of the copyright issues, because this is really kind of get into the nitty gritty part of it. And again, for all of you that are a part of the creative service world that's watching this, you can hate me on this, you can love me on this, or even evolve into something that you think that you can take from this. But please know that copyright is a very important thing for us creators. We take a lot of pride and a lot of time to create content, whether it's actually paid content to give you to the client or the customer, or stuff that we do on our own to boost our own portfolio, or just for the sake as a hobby sake to promote what we do because we really enjoy what we do. When we take footage or photos from our camera, that's ours. That is the production company's. They own that. When you hire a production company to produce a 3-minute mission vision video, you get that 3-minute mission vision video for whatever kind of price you paid for it. That's yours. You technically don't own all of the footage that it took to produce that video. Well, we found over the course of 2016 and 2017 doing market research, this was one of the most, it was one of the most troubled journeys that a lot of startup companies and a lot of just companies in general have a hard time with navigating and understanding who owns that content. So we started to explore with the whole fact of, well, technically the media production does, but what we can do is we can license it out to you, and then you can take it and then produce whatever you want with it after you've licensed it out for either an additional cost or as a part of a bundled service. Well, we just went ahead and just bundled it. So with White Cloud Drones, we actually, when we go and hire, or when we go to work with a company, all of the content, 80% of it that doesn't even make it to the final cut, to the final production, that is actually owned by that company. Now, it's on our servers. It was captured by our cameras. We have access to it. We have actually access to be able to push it out on our portfolio, but we do not have the right to sell it to another company or in a stock format. We don't have that option. That's built into our contract. So what this does is it gives companies a chance to tap into the 80% of all of the footage that wasn't used in the first video to then be recycled, reused, and repurposed. So it's almost kind of like a co-ownership where, yes, we have the footage, and at any point that company wants to take that footage, they have that right. Now, however, if that company does take all of that footage and they want to do everything in-house, they can do that. But before they do, they must sign a consent waiver saying that the copyright that's attached to those that was taken by our cameras is being released. They will not have the option of selling that footage outside of their business. They can use it in-house, but they cannot sell it for whatever purpose. And same thing for us. As a production company, we wouldn't do that either. This has opened up so many new avenues for us that it's really giving our clients more bang for their buck. We're already out there shooting, and 80% of it's not going to be used anyway. We may as well recycle it into a 15-second Instagram story or a 26-second Facebook story, or we may just be able to use that for the next video down the road when they're ready for that video. Like I said earlier, we do a lot of construction work. So that construction stuff, before and after type stuff, there's so much rich content in there. And to have something being fed to our online channels, feeding the beast, that's just where the recycling of this content can be used. Any questions? I think I've talked enough. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much. I was wanting to show you guys a little bit of video, but I know doing this mirrored image through Zoom, sometimes the video quality just really isn't that good. So you guys see what I have on the website. This again, hopefully comes through somewhat seamlessly, but if you guys have any questions, let's talk shop. Any questions? Wait a few more seconds here to see if any comes in through Facebook. So yeah, Carlos, with what about those who own just a DSLR? The DSLR right now, it doesn't really matter what level or what kind or how old or how new it is. DSLRs give you a lot of cinematic power. Whether they can shoot 4K, whether they can shoot 1080p, whatever they can shoot, they give you a lot of power because you can interchange the lens. You can actually change the actual aperture. You can change the focal length. You can change a lot of things that really separate the power between a cell phone shot and even a GoPro versus, you know, almost a cinema line type camera. We shoot a lot with our DSLR. It does great for our B-roll. It has audio inputs. It does shoot 4K. It does shoot at 1080p at 60 frames. So we're able to do some slow motion stuff. A lot of production companies that actually ask us to help with our drone stuff, we'll actually bring this camera just in case if they just need an extra set of eyes on something to help provide a C camera outlook. Obviously, for a lot of our main stuff, we'll use a cinema line camera, such as the C200. And again, these are things that you don't have to go out and buy to get really good quality video. These things only help us as a production company to validate the quality of production that we're providing. So again, our prices as a video production company can start at $500 and can go all the way up to 15,000. It just really depends on how much, with what kind of service you want, what kind of video you want to have produced, and then of course, you know, what fits your budget and what's the kind of ROI that you're hoping to have. What lens do I recommend? The primary lenses that we usually use, are you talking about the DSLR, I'm assuming? The 24 to 70 prime is usually a good one for testimonials. And if you're trying to get some nice, good B-roll, the 200 here, I believe this is a 7200, 70 to 200. This is an expensive lens, but it does provide a lot of versatility. And again, for a lot of those things that, for a lot of our clients that hire us to do both photo and video, this is where we do just about anything and everything. We shoot video, we shoot photo, we shoot time lapses. The DSLR is a good universal utility for those of you that are in this kind of world of content creation. Cool. Anybody else? Any other questions?
On my side, it looks like I don't see any more. So if that's the case, I'll kind of wrap it up. Adam, thanks for leading the workshop today. If there's any future questions or comments they may have for you, best way to get in touch, and also, of course, seeing you through this space, but what's the best way to reach out?
You got it. Thank you, guys. Definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
Thank you.